Chapter 8 contains the finality of Justine. She who had just been accused so thoroughly, with so much circumstantial evidence that could weave together a story of her murder, of the poor younger brother of Frankenstein, William, though he alone knows that it was his monster who rendered such malice, has brought to him, his family, and all of Justine's friends the greatest of woes. In this moment, more than any yet, Victor realizes the gravity of his mistake, coming first and foremost at the expense of one of his most loyal household servants. On his way to Archangel, Chapter 8 demonstrates one of the many ways to convey in this reflective kind of mode, as has been adopted throughout the chapters thus far, a real sense of introspection and recountance of something that was not only an extraordinarily traumatic moment for the main subject of the reflection, but also for he who witnessed it as the indirect cause thereof, where many stories are from the perspective immediately in the circumstance, a first-person account of everything that's happening. In the vein of this storytelling happening in a meta sense, as these are not even the direct memories of Victor himself, but recorded and editorialized notes taken by the Arctic explorer on his way to Archangel, one of the far north outposts of Russia, in the 1700s. Nobody says, run around too. Navigating the U.S. healthcare system is a grand exercise in madness for madness' sake. Yeah. Well, hey, not to comment too heavily on recent events in politics, but you're not the only one that feels that way, my friend. Not the only one, evidently. It has laminated together not only the original thoughts of Victor himself, but then how he feels about it retrospectively, and then finally as it comes to us being written down after its conceptual interpretation through the conception of Mr. Saville, and then finally being looked at again by Victor to correct. And it does so with a great emphasis not just on the object of activity that transpired moment to moment, the play-by-play, but on top of that, it gives us a semantic layer of the exact feelings that were being experienced by Justine, Elizabeth, Victor, and the entire court as it was happening at that time. While it could naturally be more of a step-by-step description, or even compressed massively for sake of brevity, this chapter is not just a milestone for Victor, but also a marker for all of the other characters and where they stood at this point in the progression, not only of the material story, but also the moral arc. Half the staff I manage at this new job decided to pull a Gen Z resignation, and we were short-staffed because of it. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I really am. A bartender manager. Bars are definitely a place that require a lot of adaptability and being able to pull out charisma at a moment's notice, not to mention dexterity, depending on the bar, of course. As one of these fellow Gen Zs by only a smidgen, I understand exactly what you mean. I guess I'd say this, and I don't think that it is unique to my generation and forward, that we just get up and walk off like that. At least in my experience, I would much rather someone just fuck off rather than make everything bad for all involved who are trying to get stuff done because they just don't want to do the job or can't hack it. So, my pity on that part. But also, congratulations. While Chapter 8 provided the blow, how Justine Moritz' death affected everyone from Victor's perspective, Chapter 9 shows the hurt, all of the pain precipitated down from Justine's execution, where she might have had the verdict of guilt by a court, more than ever before in a man already so well known for it by this time. Victor has guilt within his soul. He can scarcely look upon, just as Elizabeth has found herself, and his father too, much of any of regular life, with even an iota of happiness, contentedness, or pleasure. And in them, this is diffuse. Much as a swirling whirlpool, Victor is the absolute center around which this rotates. And only in the little death, the small suicides of absolute forgetfulness traversing through the mountainous regions of Geneva does he again find any peace, and that only briefly. One of my favorite things about what I do is that by sitting at my bar and interacting with me, I'm making you smarter. and killing your brain cells at the same time, so says nobody. That is quite the humorous juxtaposition, isn't it? It's, the true dialectic, if you will. The sick, sad thing is they weren't underpaid or even unhappy. The new year just took it all out of them, I guess. I mean, can you blame them? Recent occasions in politics rearing their heads again. You know, I can't necessarily blame people for feeling generally discouraged. I guess it is unavoidable, and I don't necessarily think you'd be too terribly upset about it. But, I think now that there is an overwhelming ability to access information, and not just in the educational sense, but in the strictly social sense as well, we are coming to a point in time very rapidly where the general ignorance and tomfoolery, to put it mildly, of fellow human beings is becoming very well acquainted. And you don't have to live a lifetime to get that anymore. You just have to pop over to X or Instagram or YouTube. Ah, there we go. Perfect. Alright. Well, after all those technical difficulties, right into the pulsating mass, here we go. Especially when you can see supposed authorities, people who at least have some systemic power, controlling things. Basically being the arbiters of the material conditions of our lives, which precipitate down into everything else. I can't necessarily blame not wanting to do the tedious works of service. I think that kind of recognition does lend to a very cynical, if not absolutely irrationalistic egoism. It's unfortunate. I don't think that we should try and put the genie back in the bottle, because it's just familiarity with something that's there and has always been there. But there's gotta be some kind of solution that's actually advanced going forward, I think. I know I've got mine, but I'd be curious to see what yours would be. Now, besides the walls of blood, I do recall that I am in something of a... Not... Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Not very good situation. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, very no. Oh, shit. Oh, that ain't good. I got no health. I got no lantern. I got no hope. I'm kinda screwed. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, no. No, 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 no. Open. Please. Please. I'm so glad this place is lit. I'm so glad, otherwise I'd be dead. Whew. Okay. And while I read back over your comment, the amount of people who were quietly unhappy for vast stretches of their life, or not even necessarily unhappy, because happiness, contrary to most conception of it, at least here in the US, is eudaimonia, is not just something that you experience all the time. It's a state of excited, raised elevation, the basis of ecstasy, which is an even greater height than general happiness. A lot of people are not even content. I think the term malcontent is a genuine one that really needs to see a resurgence, free from its connotations of simply being a synonym for ne'er-do-well or asshole or slacker. Oh, they give us the luxury of having a splash button. You know, we did have the punch gore button before. I guess a punch water button is also just as fitting. Just frustrating. A big part of why I love what I do is because it can have cultural impact. I feel the exact same way, being able to interact with people in a way that they want to be interacted with, rather than being in that pseudo-aggressive position of marketing or retail or one of the other kinds of engagements that you can have with folks in that vein in the market. And I know I do speak from the position of an extremely small YouTuber, but even here, being able to genuinely shape conversations and participate in them, it's not not the power itself that I appreciate the most, but more the capacity to actually have dialogue with people in a way that hopefully brings both of us to be persuaded to at least know more, if not have more genuine truth that we can operate off of. Onward and upward, an entirely new area. Guest room, study. Surprised we don't have Latin plates for those. Open room, ominous hallway, and what's this last one over here? Is it marked? No, but we'll take a look inside. Another ominous hallway. Love to see it. In Chapter 10, where the vast and somber splendor of the wilds of Geneva had began to heal Victor's soul. After many days traversing the narrow mountain peaks and passes, he comes face to face with his creation, where the woes once of his previous endeavors in science weighed upon him in solitude. In the midst of a frozen river, he spots for the first time and engages in discussion with his creature, his creation, and feels the weight of what he has been in absentee crash upon him as the creator, the god to his creation. And therein he is at least ushered to come and hear the story of his own Adam. I know this is 1,000,000% monkey brain, but I can't help the fact that that flat piece of yellow, I presume wood over there, looks like a ginormous slice of cheese. While all of the previous chapters, and even letters, were leading up to directly addressing the theme of all of these motifs, Chapter 10 looks the point directly in the face, that when man plays God, he will face the consequences. And when, inevitably, this is brought to the literal sense of becoming the creator for an entirely new species of intelligent life, then we will bear that genuine responsibility. I'm waiting for these to change. I know it's coming. There's too much of that art there to just be placeholder. I say yes. Though even now, and we can see it all around, the peoples of the world kick the can down the road, ignore, and otherwise reject their responsibility. And to that, for all of their actions and all of their productions, there are yet still those of us who would propose that this is not the natural way of things, that this is not the only course that can be attained by humankind. For many objects of reference, today, despite the lackadaisy that many make a way of life, not as the exclusive characteristic of most people living, as we do all have a balance of what we do and don't care about, it is exactly that, as displayed best in Victor. He did not have the will, as many others do not, to recognize that the reins of their existence are their own. Oh. Okay. Well, clearly somebody had a midday meal. That we have the potential to take full responsibility for our entire species' existence. And in doing so, as we are not completely independent of the world around us, let alone the greater universe, that we would be taking responsibility for all others too, at least on this planet. But the only way we would ever be able to do so is by knowledge and technique, episteme and techne, and those can only be attained by percepts made into concepts, and from those concepts, incepts, creation. Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa. I think that's the first time we've seen the full name, and wow, did someone name them with intent? It's absolutely crazy to read this right now, because we know for a fact these kinds of vivisections did happen at the time. Still, even to some extent in the 1900s, and I'm sure even now. Knowing that Aristotle, way back before we hit Common Era, had already written about the various details of how the musculature and nervous system produces an effect such as this, to include some emotion in said motion. Ding-a-ling. The amount of tinderboxes that have been doled out throughout the experience have really given a chance for the tension and potential spook factor to elevate significantly, because you can't just pan a flashlight around or some equivalent, and as I cower from my very existence by yonder candle's light, which is actually quite a prime example of how this is a fine mechanic. It keeps one from feeling even so much safety as a permanent fixture in their navigation of the environs, while also giving the player the chance to not just die instantly from loss of the resource, sanity, which mandates that they be at least somewhat immersed in light at all times. Oh, yeah. This cabinet was boned up! I'm now coming to realize that more than anything else so far, this has been a resource management experience up to this point. And I don't say that as a negative, I say that as something very positive, in that when one seeks to encode anything into a medium, they have to actually have a method of doing it. There is some encoding that actually has to happen, and the encoding here is light, sanity, naturally, and health. And so all of the environments themselves are entirely shaped around these core resources to manage the economy of all of these things. The only real modifier to that is precisely how you navigate through the environment, and what kind of moments of intrigue will impede or aid you in that way. Yo, can we, Hey! Nobody says, at the time it came out, it was kind of folded into all the other Saw clones that were in vogue, but despite its lower budget, it's very well done. And that was Vile you were referring to? I am intrigued. I never got into the Saw series myself, though I do understand it is quite good, at least by most people's account. But if it is a genuine improvement or iteration on that kind of formula, I'll be very interested. I've always liked approaching pretty much every topic from one of the side passages rather than the direct one, simply because it enables me to have an outside perspective to whatever is being engaged with. Whether it be literature, music, cinema, so on and so forth. Dude literally went, alright, but what if essence is real? I'd be harvesting that mana, you feel me? I'm sure that this is a cliche, but ever since hearing it in Far Cry 3, it stuck with me, sincerely. For design principles, there was a line about having the number imprinted on the concave portion of a contact lens was a great way to have a universal signifier for which direction to have it. And now seeing this here, with what is very evidently meant to represent what kinds of rods should go in place, the 1, 3, and 4-sided variety, it seems rudimentary to take significant note of, but trying to universally signal something that requires no context and only literal interpretation. This one has it. Especially with how... I just realized something. I, foolishly, left the bloody notifications on. Let's not do that for the moment. You can tell I never record from desktop, but I will say, from watching others, I do always find it slightly entertaining to get that fake out, like, notifications? Huh? What? Alt-tab. Alright, let's see here. Nice. Don't know what good that'll be for, but I'm sure we'll find out. Maybe for the barrel that we had earlier, with a busted handle. I would have never thought of that. Oh, just enough, I suppose. Oh, okay. I guess that would make sense for clearing the rocks. Of course, it would never be so easy as just, I don't know, climbing out a window and going around. Oh, okay. Oh no, my sanity! It's falling away. Oh. You have a hurt yourself with the fire button? Alright, checks out. Oh shit. That's not good. Please don't see me, please don't see me, please don't see me. Ah, thank fuck they're very nearsighted. Oh shit. That ain't me, Chief. I was never there, I assure you. Fuck, 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 fuck. Nah. Nah, it's fine. There's absolutely no tasty human chemical resource for you to consume. It's good. You're better off over there, I promise. Look, see? There's just a box there. I assure you. It's so easy. And yet, no opportunity. Rod. Where might we find some rod in this place? Yo, did I see that right? That shirt is stiff as a board. Somebody's gotta lay off the starch with that.
While being the least informative letter I've received, it causes me greatest distress and interest. As I write, my thoughts are drawn to my nightmares in which a most disturbing sound calls to me. A sound defying description. A voice from the void. The last few weeks have been awful, with so many sleepless nights dreading a repeat of those horrid dreams. Tomorrow, I shall visit my physician, Dr. Tate, in hope that he can provide me with sedatives to help me sleep.
My guy literally contracted night terrors. That is truly unfortunate. Can't say I blame them, though. You know, if I also had an orb of magical darkness that was consuming my thoughts and spirit, too, I'd probably have night terrors as well. I love these physics, dude. High five. You too. Can always use more, and as we all know, always room for one more lanterns. Nah, dude, seems pretty lit to me. Oh, we're not, that's clearly supernatural, and that's not gonna detract any sanity? Okay, then. Inconsistent game? How dare you, Amnesia? You are kidding me. I walked by in strict darkness for the last 2 hours before I found that refill. And this has been sitting here the whole time. Okay. Ah! Oh! Opportunities abound! We might actually be able to get outside for a change. Hang on, I got the perfect idea. Here we go. Alley-oop. And take a swoop. Let's try that again. Hey! So, is the reason we couldn't get outside before because the other panes aren't cracked? We're not strong enough to, like, pitch a chair or a crate through the glass? Really? The fucked up thing is that I looked at this earlier and I thought to myself, ah, beautiful. They even rendered the parts of the building over there. You know, there's window sills and ledges and great detail work for this gargantuan place. They thought of everything to include a little bit of the exterior. We're gonna have this, where I psychically interface with somebody's memories. And then ... is what we're gonna have. No, you. The complexity is rising, new facets are emerging, the specializations of little pieces of what is otherwise a generalized basis of lore are finally coming together to make the story that carries the entire experience. From just bounding about in dimly lit corridors and decrepit ruins to actually feeling that there is some purpose not only in your character, which you of course do not recall, but also in the character of your environs and what brought it all together into the predicament that one finds oneself. It's all coming together. I thank you all for joining me, those that did and those that will. I hope that you all feel it worthy of maybe giving it a like, perhaps subscribing to the channel, and sharing it around. If you want to see more of us or our daily released content, there's always X, Instagram, Discord in the Threefold at a Factory, as well as TikTok and BitChute. Not to mention Spotify. Otherwise, if you feel that this might have earned a little bit of your hard-earned monies, we do have stream elements for a one-time donation if you'd like, or Patreon, both linked in the description as ever. And otherwise, I hope that you all have a fantastic rest of the day and never miss your opportunities.